All right, 7th grade. Today we're going to review solving two-step equations. Let's take a look at example 1 on the board, also on your worksheet. 4g minus 10 is equal to 14. Now the goal when we're solving equations is to get our variable by itself. So my variable is g, and I want to get it on its own. Now before I can do that, I see that there's another constant. A constant is a number without a variable on the same side of the equal sign as my variable. So I've got negative 10 because I'm looking at that operation sign in front of my constant. It's telling me it's negative. Now, in order to get rid of that, I need to do the inverse operation. The opposite of subtraction is addition. So I'm adding 10 on both sides of my equation because I have that equal sign, which means what I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So negative 10 plus 10 just cancels out, becomes 0, and that's what I want. I want to simplify my equation. So now I'm going to rewrite it with with the work that I've done. So I have 4g is equal to 14 plus 10 is just 24, right? So now I have 4g is equal to 24. Now this is just a one-step equation, right? I see a number right up next to a variable, which means I'm looking at multiplication. In order to simplify my expression completely, I need to do the opposite of multiplication, which is division. Dividing both sides by 4, because what I do to one side, I have to do to the other. 4 divided by 4 is 1, and that's what I want. I want to know what 1g is equal to. I can also just put the variable, right? And I know that 1 is the coefficient. G is equal to 24 divided by 4, 6. Okay? So go ahead and pause the video and try example 2 on your own, and then press play and you can check your answer with mine. We'll go through it together. Okay. All right, example 2. Negative 7 plus 2b is equal to 11. Now we find our variable. That's the first thing we're doing. Now we want to get b on its own. So we add 7 to both sides, right? Because we want to simplify, get rid of our constant before we do anything else. Negative 7 plus 7 just cancel out. So we have 2b is equal to, now, the right side of the equal sign, 11 plus 7, 18. So the one-step equation. Divide both sides by 2, and b is equal to 9. Go ahead and give yourself a check if you got that completely right. If not, just make sure you have this work filled in on your page and you understand what mistake you may have made. All right, example number 3. So now this one is a little bit more complicated. That's why we're reviewing it together. Negative 6 minus 5b is equal to negative 11. So my variable is b. That's what I'm trying to get by itself to isolate. Now I have my constant, negative 6. Remember, I'm always getting rid of addition and subtraction before anything else in two-step equations. So I have negative 6. I need to do the opposite of that, which means I'm adding 6 on both sides. That step's the same. Now let me rewrite my equation in its simplified form. Negative 5b is equal to, now, negative 11 plus 6. This goes back to our work with positive and negative numbers that we were doing before break. I've got 11 bad guys and only 6 good guys, which means my answer has to be negative, right? Because I have more negatives than positives. Anytime I have different signs, I have one negative and one positive, I'm subtracting, right? I'm finding the difference. 11 minus 6 is 5. So that means that's the number that's going to go after my equal sign, because negative 11 plus 6 is negative 5. Now, negative 5b equals negative 5. I see multiplication, which means I need the opposite, which is division. Dividing both sides by negative 5, because I'm dividing by whatever number is right next to that variable. Negative 5 divided by negative 5 is just 1. any number divided by itself is 1. What I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So that means b has to be equal to negative 5 divided by negative 5 is just positive 1. Okay, pause the video and do example 4 on your own, and then press play when you're done so you can check your answer with mine. All right, the last problem we are going to do together. 2m plus 6 is equal to negative 4. So I'm trying to get m on its own. That's my variable. Now, I always want to get rid of addition and subtraction before I do anything else in two-step equations. So I see this positive 6 on the same side of my equal sign. Subtract 6 on both sides. 2m is equal to, my 6's cancel out. Now, negative 4 minus 6. Could also rewrite it as negative 4 plus negative 6, right? I don't have any good guys, so it means that my answer has to be negative. So I have 4 negatives, I'm adding 6 more negatives. Same signs, I'm adding them together, so it has to be negative 10. So that's the number I'm going to put on the right side of my equal sign. 2m is equal to negative 10. Now, this is a one-step equation. I'm solving for m. I'm going to divide both sides by 2, because that's my coefficient, the number right in front of my variable. 2 divided by 2 just cancels out, gets me 1. M is equal to a negative divided by a positive, always going to be a negative. 10 divided by 2 is just 5. We could check that because 5 times 2 is 10. Okay, give yourself a check if you got this. M equals negative 5. If not, you're filling in the workspace under example 4 with my work, so you know how to do it in the future. So the last thing you're going to do is you're going to do your independent practice, the back page. If it's completely filled in, it's going to be a +5 on your paycheck. If it's not completed, then it will be a lunch detention. So make sure that you get started right away, and good luck.